The cruelest thing a company can do isn't fire you. It's make you train the person who's taking your place and convince you it's a promotion. Nothing says we value your expertise like making you download your entire brain into someone that makes half your salary. At first, it feels like relief, right? You've been drowning, and now someone's here to take a few things off your plate. It's kind of exciting until you realize that they're not taking anything away. They're just memorizing how you carry it so the plate still balances after you're gone. You're still doing the same job, only now you've got a spectator. They're not lightening the load. They are narrating it. Hi, can you slow down? Because I'm like taking notes, like a lot of notes. They shadow you, ask questions, watch how you work. It's like having a pet rescue hamster with a concussion named Chad that never remembers anything that you say and forgets their password on the daily. But yeah, you're flattered. No actual Chads were harmed in the making of this story. Any resemblance to real Chads, living or corporate, is purely coincidental. Unless you're my former coworker, Chad, in which case you know exactly what you did. If they're learning from you, that means that you're valuable. And because I was raised by wolves and corporate America, I over-explained everything. And I even color-coded the documentation that no one asked me to make. I gave them the backstory, the context, the unwritten rule. I made cheat sheets and shared templates that I had spent years building. I even said things like, oh, I'm happy to help. Like I was campaigning for Employee of the Year in a competition that doesn't even actually exist, and yet I still managed to lose. Which is honestly really impressive because I was the only one that was competing. I thought I was setting them up for success, but something's off. I didn't feel supported. I felt like I was being studied. The kind of studied where you start looking around for a name tag on your enclosure. Crikey, here we see the product done on her natural habitat. She's a beautiful girl, all right. Really nice. Sorry, Steve Irwin. This isn't mentorship. This is knowledge extraction, and you're building a U-shaped template. Mentorship builds capacity. Extraction builds a replacement. In my 30-year career, this has happened to me a few times, and I've seen it happen to others as well. Can you walk Chad through your workflow real quick? Yeah, real quick. That's like saying a root canal is real quick. Would you mind writing it up so they can follow along? And by write it up, you mean add screenshots, make a video, and then re-explain it in an email because he couldn't find the link? Could you just drop that on a shared drive for visibility? Because nothing says teamwork like uploading my brain into the corporate landfill. They frame it like cross-training so that there aren't single points of failure, which is adorable because I've been the single point of failure holding shit together for 5 years, and the only failure here is that they didn't get me help sooner. At first, you don't think twice. You figure that they're investing in the team. Maybe this is the start of some long overdue backup. You're flattered because they trust you to pass on your expertise like you're some kind of wise village elder. Next thing you know, I'm basically a 24/7 hamster whisperer, and the hamster isn't just watching me now. They're showing initiative by scheduling meetings about my project, but they forget to add anyone to the invite, so there's that. You give them the context that no one ever gave you, the workarounds, the unwritten rules, the political landmines. You hand over cheat sheets that you built on your own time because no one else knew how. I wasn't being helpful. I was being harvested like a living organ donor who has to stick around and train the transplant. The feedback started shifting. I wasn't being praised anymore. They were. I was hearing things like, wow, they're really picking things up fast, huh? Like that had nothing to do with the 3-hour knowledge dump that I just delivered. The strategy meetings started happening without me, which is wild considering I built the strategy and it was my meeting. The roadmap got revised without my input. At one point, someone forwarded me my own deck with a new title, a different owner, and my name removed. That's the moment that you should notice, but you don't, because you're still onboarding the person who's quietly taking your place, and the only reason you haven't noticed yet is because you're too busy making sure that they don't screw up your legacy before it stops being yours. The thing that really is nuts about this entire thing was that the exit strategy was my idea. Let's talk about that. The hardest part wasn't watching someone else take over my work. It was realizing that I was the one handing it to them like some kind of farewell gift wrapped in my best intentions. It was like baking a cake for the guy that's repossessing your car. Because once I started catching on, I thought maybe I could slow it down, right? Like if maybe I just kept a few things to myself, left a few gaps in the documentation, they'd still need me around. Yeah, like forgetting to mention that the reporting tool times out without saving every 8 minutes unless you run it in an incognito browser window. That's something I learned the hard way on a Friday at 4:55 p.m. But honestly, that just made me look disorganized, and truthfully, they just made shit up to fill in the gaps anyway. Lies and confidence, corporate's preferred project management style. Suddenly, I wasn't being a team player. I was lacking transparency. And if I pushed back, I looked threatened, difficult, uncollaborative, the kind of person who struggles with change. Which in corporate means that you didn't clap hard enough at the all hands when they rebranded your department with a team name that sounds like a frickin' Ben & Jerry's flavor. Hello, Team Sprinty McSprint Face. Please circle back with Team Epic Squirrel and do a handoff to Backlog Berry Jam before launch. So, I did what we're all trained to do when we feel disposable. I over-delivered. I made more of everything. Because in corporate survival school, we're taught that overwork is the currency for belonging. I offered more help. I bent myself into new shapes, trying to prove I could still be useful, even as I watched them build a whole new structure without me. The hamster Chad now has the keys and is driving the project. Sideways. I wasn't being kept around for my mad skills. I was being tolerated just long enough to finish training the person they decided to bet on instead of me. They didn't need my permission. They just needed my process. It's amazing how invisible that you can get and how much you are a part of erasing your own self. It's never one big moment. It's 100 small humiliations that don't seem worth even bringing up, but they pile up fast. The first time it hits you, you're out sick for a day, right? Nothing major. When you come back, hamster brain over here has presented something that you've been leading for weeks. They've even added the next step slide full of action items that you vetoed 2 months ago because they were a bad idea then too. You're not mentioned. You're not tagged. You find out because someone CCs you on the follow-up email and writes, "Great momentum today. I love seeing this evolve." The this that they're talking about is your work, gift wrapped in the Chad's ignorance and your formatting. Then the calendar starts to shift, right? Your one-on-ones get bumped. The team syncs become optional for you. You log into a meeting and see that you weren't even invited to the prep call, which is weird because, again, you set up the call. It was your call. What the Hey, book a one-on-one with me if you need someone to confirm that your boss is, in fact, a Chad the hamster-loving asshat. You know, for morale purposes. You sit through an entire strategy session while the hamster with a head injury pitches your own framework with a new name and some weird acronym that he slapped on it that they thought was clever. You know, the kind of acronym that's clearly just the first letters that they could make spell an actual word, no matter how forced it is, like calling it NOPE for New Operational Process Enhancement. NOPE. The worst part is not even the erasure. It's how polite it all is. You're still being thanked for getting them up to speed. And you can't even get mad because technically, no one has done anything wrong. That's what makes this so insidious. It doesn't look like betrayal. It looks like transition. Do you see this happening in your little corporate world? Have you had your own pet hamster? What did you see when it was too late? Drop it in the comments and I'll see you there. So, what do you do when it starts? Well, the first thing that you need to do is stop trying to prove yourself. Okay? This is not about your talent or your output. It's about the fact that they have already decided someone else can do the work cheaper, easier, or quieter. So document everything. Don't just document the process, document your impact. If you build something, record it. If you save something, write it down. If you fix a bug at 11:59 p.m., screenshot that bitch. If you talk a client off the ledge, you save that too. If you stop a launch from going sideways because you remembered the vendor portal only works in Internet Explorer 9, document it. You are not taking notes, you're building evidence for the version of the story that does not erase you. Stop giving away the hard parts. That messy process that only you know how to do should not be handed over just because someone asked nicely in a meeting. Don't put the explanation in writing unless there's a direct benefit to you. And no, visibility is not a direct benefit. Stop that. Ask questions that they don't expect. Maybe like, who's going to own this once I've stepped away? Say it loud, but say it without panic, but say it clearly, right? If they can't answer that question, it's because they already know it's not you. Protect your name. If your work is being repackaged, renamed, or pitched without you, speak up. Ask to be included. Ask why you weren't. Ask if there's a transition plan that you should be aware of. You're not asking to stop what's going on. You're asking so that you can stop being lied to. If the answer sounds vague, assume that the hamster's already driving your project into the wall and your name is still on the insurance. Set a deadline for yourself. Decide how long you're going to keep handing over your work without a clear role in what comes next. Because in corporate timelines, there's no natural end to extraction, only the day that you decide that you've had enough. This is not for them. This is for you, okay? If a job is evolving and you're not, then you're not a part of the evolution. You're the exit plan. They knew that I'd be thorough. They knew that I would fill in the gaps. They knew that I would leave it cleaner than I found it because I'd rather burn myself out than look unprepared. That's the trick. It doesn't feel like a setup while it's happening. It feels like you're finally being seen. You're finally being asked to share what you know. You think that maybe this is the beginning of growth, of visibility, of being valued. Nah. It's corporate taxidermy. The face is Chad, but every bit of the guts inside is me. It's not growth, it's succession. And you're not being promoted, you're being archived. An archive isn't just a legacy. It's a place that no one looks until something breaks. By the time that you realize what's going on, you've already handed them everything that they need to move on without you. Even worse, you've handed them everything they need to frame your exit as organic. They didn't say I was being replaced. They said, we're expanding capacity. They didn't take my work away. They shifted ownership. And they didn't push me out. They just made sure there was nothing left for me to hold on to. One day you're leading strategy calls. The next day you're an optional attendee taking notes in a meeting that you used to run. Which, to be honest, is basically what my YouTube memberships are. It's a group for people that have trained their own hamster and gotten thanked for their contributions while erased from memory. It's fun. Join us. They don't want confrontation. They want compliance. If you're in it right now, don't confuse cooperation with safety, okay? Don't confuse sharing your expertise with being valued for it. The person that you're training is either your future teammate or more probably your future replacement. So write down everything that matters. Keep the credit that's yours. And if you can't get a straight answer about what happens to you after the transition is complete, assume that you're the one being transitioned out. Like if that little wheel-licking hamster now has your calendar access and is booking alignment sessions without you, that's a bad sign. Because when they make you disappear, they're not going to call it that. They're going to call it smooth. And if they can get you to stick around long enough to finish the handoff without making a scene, they're going to call that a win. And if they can get you to thank them for the opportunity while you disappear quietly, then they're going to call that good leadership. Now, you think the worst part is being replaced. It's not. It's what happens after when you realize that they're not firing you. They're keeping you right there, smiling, while they rewrite your ending for you.